Yo, Thought Warriors. What is up? I learned is on. It's I, Van Lathan Jr.
And it's me, Rachel Lindsay.
Yeah, I bet it is.
Okay. You okay? You having a good week? Should we cook?
I'm losing weight.
Van!
Yeah. I start the journey off, and I've lost. This morning I've lost 31 pounds.
That is impressive. Congratulations.
Ooh. That's how I feel. Watch this. Ooh. That's how I feel about it.
And I don't want to keep asking you and making it look like we're watching. So, when you want to update us on your journey, we're here to receive it. And that's huge. 31 pounds.
Yeah, I gotta lose more. I gotta get I'm out there at the gym, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the people at Equinox are like, oh, you look so great. And it's not just that you're losing weight, it's your skin, it's everything like that. And I'm like,
you're glowing. How do you feel though? Right? How do you feel with the weight loss?
I feel like, goddamn, there's a little bit more room in the shirt. I remember how it was the last time I was losing it, but here's the difference. The last time I was losing weight and I was actually peeling pounds off successfully, I didn't have to continuously see myself.
Please explain.
So I have to see myself all the time because you do a CNN hit, you see yourself all the time. See, in the last part, when I did this before, you can't really look at your own body in the mirror and really feel it as much. You can feel it a little bit, but you can't feel it as much. So, I mean, literally, the last time, even though it took like 9-10 months, something like that,
mm-hmm.
It felt like I went from titties to no titties.
Mm-hmm.
It felt like it was just one day, hey, I popped up, no titties. No tit bags to speak of. But now, I'm seeing the gradual reduction of titty.
Okay.
And it's interesting. Certain skin folds, I'm watching them go away. Before, I really didn't pay attention. Literally, I was, before when I lost weight, I was like walking into the office in the Capricorn and I was like holding my pants up.
Mm-hmm.
Like the belt was on the last thing, holding my pants up. And Jeff was like, Van, you need to get a new pair of pants. You're slimming down, brother.
Right.
Like I was holding the pants up, everything, and then, what? But now it's like, I'm because I'm lifting so heavy and I'm doing so much, I'm checking in with my body. And I'll look and I'll see, hey, look at this. There's a little skin fold and it's gone. And I'll look at that piece of skin, where the fold used to be, and I'll be like, how are you doing? And then the skin will be like, have I been kidnapped?
Oh my God.
And I'm like, yes, you have. You have been kidnapped. And I'm here to tell you, you've been released. And then I take out a little and I wash the old skin. Hey, look, you can see the sun. I go outside. I'm also to that age where I don't think I care about having my shirt off anymore. And I think that was one good thing about gaining weight, because even before, when I lost weight, nigga had some stretch marks and some battle scars from having lost all the weight. So I wasn't all about having my shirt off. But now I've been outside with the shirt off in, some really interesting times.
That's
the flabbiest of the flab.
It's good. You are confident in your body.
I'm confident. So
and that's
I walk
good thing.
outside now, nipples lactating.
Okay.
But it's really sweat, but it looks like it could be milk, Anyway, you like you like that.
I know. I'm
like,
so trying to take you seriously, and then you like say some stuff like that.
But there's let me tell you something. You can sweat to a point to where the sweat drips off, and the sweat is dripping off.
It's like
right?
dirty. It's like
the sweat is dripping off, and it looks like it's dripping, and I'm like, that could be milk.
I know what you mean.
I could nourish a baby.
Okay, baby
because
would be malnourished.
You don't know that. You don't know what's in my sweat. My sweat is probably very high caloric. At this point, What are you doing this weekend
Man.
besides drinking water? Yeah.
What am I doing? I'm going to dinner with a friend Friday. Saturday.
Nice.
It's like everybody's birthday is this Saturday. I really thought about going to Houston for 24 hours just so I could hit, shout out to Vince Young, his 40th birthday. And then I'm like, nah.
Damn, that nigga only 40?
Yeah. I'm like, nah,
Good on
you're doing
VY,
too
man.
much. Happy birthday, VY. I'm like, you're doing too much, Rachel. Sit down. Sit down. So, Sunday, I have 3 birthday parties that I'm trying to work in and go to. 3 birthday parties.
Yeah.
And then Sunday, it's a day of rest. So, you know.
Resting.
Yeah. Yeah.
So tonight, I'm going to see a friend's movie. Tomorrow, I got all kinds of things to do that I don't remember. But I got a lot of shit to do. I got to look on the calendar. And then Saturday is Devin Haney versus Vasily Lomachenko. At 135, we have the southpaw, Vasily Lomachenko, maybe the finest amateur boxer in history, former 3-division weight champion, 135, 130, 126, probably, yes, maybe 2, I'm not sure. Only 2 losses to Salido and to Teofimo Lopez up against a young black male named Devin Haney, who is the undisputed champ at 135. I can't wait.
Are you going to the fight?
Fuck no.
Oh.
Go to the goddamn fight. I'm going to watch it here at the crib. Woserly, the Wonder Pup of Dogs. Kalika has some sort of styling conference to go to. And so it'll be me and Bozeman. And guess what? I don't like to eat anymore. It's hard for me to eat. I just had lunch and it was 1 piece of salmon and I'm full. So who knows what happens? But
wow.
Yeah,
Welcome. Welcome to my world. I had a salad for lunch. Well,
where's Brian?
Brian's at work.
You're cracking somebody's back.
Brian's at work.
So he's not cracking anybody's back.
Like I don't like the way it sounds.
That's what the nigga does.
Yeah,
he helps people with their backs.
You should invite Brian over for the fight. You know, people imagine you invite him to the game. There's a chance for you to redeem yourself.
Chance for me to redeem myself.
Yeah.
Hold on, wait a minute. How is it a chance for me to redeem myself? You are the one who took Brian, who went to see his team play, sitting courtside. By the way, the Heat are so good. If anything, Brian can come over Saturday and we could watch the game, even though I don't think the Heat will be playing. I think they'll probably play tomorrow night. But
yeah, the
Heat are so good. They're playing so well. He could have seen a courtside game in what could be a championship season for the Miami Heat. Probably won't be,
maybe if you get invited to another playoff game, you can invite him this time. Instead of him having to watch you on your stories. Don't come at me.
Pass the buck. Look at you passing the buck.
Don't come at me.
Look at you.
I don't have to hook up to playoffs.
I want to do an animated movie out of real love.
Did you read it? Or are you just looking at the book behind me?
No, I read it. So I think you could do an animated movie. Yeah. Well, what the fuck? What? Okay. You know what? Let's move on. Because
I know. I didn't even give it to you.
I read it while I was in New York. I bought the book. So here's the thing. All I get. This is my.
I'm willing to hear it.
Bozeman to hear.
I'm willing to hear
this. This is my moment of gripe. All I get is grief from all of you. I get grief. This is it's Van against the world right now. I read just like, you know what? This should be made into an animated type of situation. I say animated for me. I'll talk to you off camera about why I think it makes like a cool animation, like a cool type of, you could do like a Star Wars Visions type of.
Now, you know, I don't even know what that means.
I know, but I'm going to challenge you to know something. Okay. How about that? I'm going to challenge you to know about stuff. But there are different types of animation. I'm in jest. In Star Wars Visions, there's different type of animation, and there's one type of animation on the new season that, like, I thought, it's kind of photorealistic, but at the same time, whatever. But it could work for if you did real love, this animated thing. But I just want to let you know that all of you are against me. You're against me. Donnie's against me.
Stop feeling sorry for yourself.
Ashleigh is sort of against me. The only person that's with me is Bozeman. And he's with Kalika Moore. And
That's
so,
true.
That's true.
He's
He's
true.
with Kalika Moore. All right. A lot of stuff in the news. We got to get to a lot of different topics. On the other side of it, color of change. The crosshairs. Let's just leave it right there, because we're going to talk about that a little bit more after we take this break. Okay, Rachel, are you familiar with Color of Change as an organization?
I am.
What do you know of Color of Change?
Do I need to give like a whole thing on it? I mean, Color of Change.
No.
Do we have somebody on here for Color of Change? I know we didn't have Rashad.
We didn't have Rashad.
Who do we have on? And are they still employed there?
I think so. I'd have to look.
For the life of me, I can't think of his name. I don't know why this is.
It was a woman.
Yes, it was a woman. Ooh, that'd be really interesting. We actually should have revisited that. Anyways, Color Change, obviously they've been around for what, like 10 years at this point?
Longer, like almost
15?
20,
yeah, I don't know if it's 20, but like 15 years. They put together
the mid-2000s or something.
Okay, they put together campaigns, to fight the good fight, I should say. Criminal, they have like different teams like criminal justice and such. And yeah, like their celebrities have been linked to them, very involved in what they do in their fight for change and bringing awareness to certain things that are happening to us.
Yes. Yeah. So here's the deal. The reason why it's important to talk about like what we know of them is because a lot of times with organizations like Color of Change, a lot of people are only introduced to them after something has quote unquote gone wrong. And that is I do.
You think so?
True.
Even with this one? Just because they're so popular?
Well, I think that wasn't as true
pre-2020
with Black Lives Matter. With Black Lives Matter. But in this particular case, I think that this organization has a real big platform and a real big deal, but in a very specific area of society. To where if you know this kind of specific movement adjacent sort of whatever, then you would know who they were. But the average person, they're not like the NAACP or even Black Lives Matter, to where the average person would be like, oh, Color of Change is like a thing. You know what I mean? But we'll talk about that a little bit later, because the story is that they are facing misconduct claims and claims of just worker exploitation, what should I say? How's best to put it? Misconduct claims and a toxic work environment, I should say, is probably the best way to put it. Business Insider did an article or wrote an article. This was by Sean Campbell, who we've had on this podcast, who is the same journalist that wrote a couple of different pieces on Black Lives Matter. Why are you laughing, Rachel? Why are you?
You guys remember Sean Campbell? It was a very interesting interview. But yes, he exposed Black Lives Matter through a few articles.
He exposed Black Lives Matter, is what you say.
I shouldn't say Black Lives Matter. I should say certain individuals within Black Lives Matter is what I should say. He
exposed the Black Lives Matter Global Network Fund, which was, we've talked about that, the huge amount of money that was donated post George Floyd. And he did investigative journalism into where the money was going, into a specific home that was bought.
And how certain people were spending it. Yes.
Patrice Cullors was spending it in ways that he thought were either unethical or incompetent. Okay. And he seems to have found similar problems at Color of Change. Now, we know that they are an online racial justice organization. They've raised at least $20 million, or they raised $20 million in 2020, according to public documents. They build awareness, various campaigns, various different ways of going about it. They do celebrity outreach. They do grassroots outreach. They do all kinds of stuff. You might see Michael B. Jordan or somebody like that. He's mentioned in an article with Color of Change. These are famous people who are trying to do a good thing, partnering with organizations. And then you might also see them funding people at the more community level. So that's what they attempt to do. So what's happened, according to this article, one top executive was accused of bullying, harassment, and gender discrimination by multiple women in 2020, but quietly left the organization. The woman who first reported him, according to the article, was terminated. A senior campaign team manager was investigated after allegations surfaced in 2020 that he sexually assaulted an employee. After being cleared of wrongdoing by the organization's human resources department, he was removed from the organization. The head of Color of Change sought to address the situation in an all-staff Zoom call on May 12th last year and spoke of the senior campaign director being cleared after the investigation, but still left because of lack of compliance with reform measures related to the investigation. So the person in question here was cleared according to the investigation. However, seemingly did not want to comply with, I guess, measures that were taken after the investigation to make sure the workplace of Color of Change wasn't the same as it was before. Didn't want to abide by either new rules or reinforced rules. Okay, so the article goes into great detail. It talks to former members of the Color of Change team, and it talks to them about while they feel like they've been depowered there. It also talks about unionization issues that go on there because the workplace employees there have formed a union, and that seems to have complicated relations between management and the staff there. And it seems as if there are structural problems there, according to this piece. Rachel, did you read it?
I did.
Your thoughts?
Well, listen, my thoughts, you sent this information in, and immediately I'm reading the headline before I read the piece. And I'm just like, I can't, because I am familiar with Color of Change. And it is disappointing that here is another national organization, maybe, I don't even know if they're global, but let's say national organization that has done a lot of work. Why are you laughing?
Nothing.
That has done a lot of work, good work for us. And now there is another scandal with another Black organization. And it's disappointing because when I think of two of the big organizations that are about furthering the rights or bringing information or campaigning for social justice, it's Black Lives Matter and it's Color of Change. Those are the first two that come to mind for me. We already talked about Black Lives Matter. Now here we are dealing something with Color of Change. So my immediate response when I saw the headline, I'm like, I can't. Your response was, y'all mean to tell me this guy doesn't have an agenda? I didn't look who wrote the article at first because I just saw the headline. I was like, I'm going to read this later. I can't deal with this right now. And then I was reading the article and I forgot to look at who wrote it. And then I remember what you said and I went back and I looked and I was like, okay, I'm reading this article. This didn't seem like an article to me where it was an opinion piece. Well, it wasn't. It wasn't an opinion piece. It was investigative journalism. The author, Sean Campbell, talked to a number. It seemed like tens of 20s of people who work or have worked for Color of Change and who had very consistent stories of what's been happening there. You know, whether it be they don't like, the leadership at the top and feel like, like the money is being used the wrong way, to whether it's harassment, to whether it's a toxic work environment, to whether there's some retaliation towards those who have unionized. Like there just seems to be a lot, or an HR department that doesn't seem to take the claims by Black women or Black people very seriously. That's what it seems that work there, the employees that work there. That's what it seems like. So then my thought is a question for you. When you were like, can you tell me this guy doesn't have y'all can't tell me this guy doesn't have an agenda. I'm reading this piece. It seemed to be very thorough, very well researched, and that had been a lot of people had been talked to who were directly affiliated with the issue. So are you mad that he's exposing this organization, or are you mad because it seems to be true?
First of all, there's no way for us to know what's true and what's not true. And I think that we do that far too often in terms of when we look at things. And I'm not here to defend color of change. I don't.
Well, seems to be true is what I said.
Well,
and the Black Lives Matter stuff was true.
It depends on how you look at it. I mean, it really does. It depends on how you look at it. Like, I could make an argument that even with the Black Lives Matter stuff, that what really happened there was a bunch of people that, let me finish that thought. A bunch of people who all of a sudden found themselves flush with cash because of something that happened, something that they donate, that they raised money on, and then made stupid decisions with the money. And when I say stupid decisions, I mean buying the content house, putting it up there, like having all of these ideas for it, but not understanding how it looks to have this home being bought by Black Lives Matter and not really have a holistic use for it off the jump, right? What I could look at is in these organizations, which are extensions of people in the way they look at society, they get flushed with money, and just like human beings, they make bad decisions with the money. But what you really get is a narrative that's like really not centered in that. You get a narrative that these people are grifters and that they're evil and that they're on a mission to defraud people, to get money off the pain of Black people. Which, look, I can't say that that's not true. But what I can say, though, all right, is that if there is somebody whose job it is to look at every single organization that's out there that's trying to help Black people, right, at least in their stated purpose, and if it's their job to tell us what's wrong with those organizations, that makes my antenna go up. Now, that's not for me to say, because when I read the article, job. I mean, I'm not saying that that's his job, but I mean, he got off Black Lives Matter and then went to Color of Change.
Do you know what he's done in between then? You act like that's the only thing he does is go after Black organizations.
The question is not whether or not I know, it's whether you know. And the question, and the reason why I say that is because if the only time that he gets any ink or that we even talk about him is when he's taking out a Black, because this is now, he's not even writing at the same place that he wrote.
Yeah, he's a freelance journalist is what I thought.
Right. Well, before he wrote the last couple of articles. I think it was he had mentioned the lady that assigned him to the situation. But now you look at it, and it's he's with the Business Insider, right? And that's a lily white place. And the way that these articles get sort of traction is when he's telling us, or when that they represent the notion that Black organizations are defrauding people based upon Black pain. And that's fine. Look, if you look at the article, there seems to be myriad issues with what's going on there. If you look at it, right? If you look at it, there seems to be that people don't believe, they can't trust the HR there. Because it's not like the things that are alleged in the article weren't investigated. They were investigated. Every single time they were investigated, right? And so when they were investigated, they found that there was no wrongdoing. Now you have to believe that women are being assaulted at Color of Change and that they don't care. That could be true, right? Then there seems to be a unionization workplace issue there as well. And this all being wrapped up into the same thing. What I mean by that is there's a specific part of this where people are talking about how much money people are getting paid at Color of Change. That has nothing to do with anything. Like that literally, to say that, hey, this person is making X amount of millions of dollars, that doesn't have anything to do with anything. There's another situation where I'm listening to people, and I'm not trying to take away from anybody's experience, but they're talking about Rashad, the founder of Color of Change, and they're saying, hey, should he just go buy another fedora, or should he go do another thing like this? There's a there's something in there that's like there's a cultural issue inside of the business that really, to be honest with you, is typical for cultural issues in a lot of organizations. Like if you took the color of change off that and went, hey, like people are mad at TMZ because Harvey Levin makes all of that money. And when I started working there, I was making $8.75 an hour. Or like I was at one point making $60,000 a year to be on TV for 5 times, like every morning, like every day. And I was making $60,000 a year. Those are things that you would hear anywhere. I'm not saying that makes them right, but I'm saying that like, it seems to me that you only hear about him when he's doing this. And I think that's interesting as well.
No, you don't only hear about Sean Campbell. It's just the other things he's talking about aren't things that we necessarily bring to this podcast. He's a journalist. I just Googled his name super quick, right? He wrote a bunch, and he is a freelance journalist. He's written for several different publications, and he wrote a lot about the coronavirus. He wrote what was happening to nurses. He wrote what was happening in nursing home. That's not stuff that we would necessarily cover. We cover issues that impact the culture, Black people. So of course we're going to talk about him writing an expose, I guess I'll call it that, on two of the biggest organizations that are, about social justice. So of course we're going to talk about that. So I think it's wrong to say we only this is all that gets traction. When I Googled color of change, I saw one article about it. This is a story I didn't see had gone anywhere else. Unless I just didn't do a thorough search, I couldn't really find it anywhere else.
But this popped up number one on my feed, right? And then it popped up again on Twitter. And look, I don't know, amongst the people that I talk to, it was a big deal. So I don't know what to say.
It is a big deal. No. It's a big deal. What's happening is a big deal. I think like right now, I just typed in color change and I did news. There's one article about these claims.
It was also
the Business Insider.
By the way, it also got picked up on Yahoo, which is another place.
Yahoo picks up everything.
So what are we doing though? Like, so
no. But my point is, what are we doing?
Right.
I listened to everything that you said, and you're talking about how this guy, Sean Campbell, anytime he writes an article, has to do, and it attacks us. You're saying that his job, you said this, his job is to go after these type of organizations and see if there's something out there. And I'm telling you, one, that's not his job. He's an investigative journalist. Mm-hmm. He does other articles. And you said the only time his stuff gains traction is when it has to do with these topics. And I'm telling you, that's also not necessarily true. Black Lives Matter went everywhere. That was a huge story and it got picked up everywhere. This, not necessarily. And I'm just addressing what you said about Sean Campbell, not the fact of how serious these allegations are to such an influential and what I believe an important organization. I'm not dealing with that. But I also think you are a little bit minimizing some of the claims that are made by focusing on maybe the frivolous one of the fact that he makes this amount of money and he wears fedoras and loves to be on red carpets and take pictures.
So, but what I'm saying is that, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Well, I guess I was just going to say that I think that you have to take these claims serious, even if you're disappointed that it's Sean Campbell who's writing the story. Mm-hmm. I think it's okay. I'm disappointed at the accusations that are made, but I'm taking it all seriously based on the number of people that talked and based on some of the accusations that are made. Because even though there was an HR investigation that was done, it was an internal investigation. And it does seem like they listened, they investigated just from the report, but then there was nothing done. But then they end up firing this person later. And they're like, oh, that's not why we let that person go.
Well, so once again, they fired. So there was an investigation done. The person was fired. I do not know what happened. They fired the person
later.
I know. Well, there has to be an investigation before you can fire someone. So I don't know what we would want. Will we want there to not have been an investigation? There was an investigation. The person was fired. The person was fired after they refused reforms based upon whatever had happened. So, hey, this is how things are going to go now. This is what's going to happen now since there's been this issue. The person said they didn't want to do that. The person was let go. I don't know whether or not I know that there were accusations made, and I know that people have lost their jobs. I know that there have also been layoffs at Color of Change, which the article says, based upon what they say is the economic downturn, right? Which some of the other people there feel like it's not about the economic downturn. It's about them purging parts of the culture at the company that they don't like, right? And a lot of the people that were in the article, because when I read it, first of all, I read the article also for the tone, right? The tone of the article, it starts off with Color of Change. First of all, there's this big picture of Rashad Robinson, who is the head of Color of Change, and it says sexual assault, all of that stuff, boom, boom, boom. If I was him, I'd be super fucking pissed off because he is not accused of anything that has anything to do with any sexual assault.
I will agree with that.
And putting his face
surprised.
right there, and putting his face right there. No, but you shouldn't be, because to like in crafting a headline, that is what you do when you're trying to get a conflict click. When you're trying to get a conflict click, you don't want to put a logo up there. They will tell you straight up, put somebody's face on this, right? Now, if we're saying that Rashad himself or anybody themselves, which was also alleged in the article, should be responsible for all of the misconduct that did or did not happen at Color of Change, then that's something else, right? If you think that that's fair. I would say that that's probably looking at things in a little bit of a myopic way. Once again, I don't mean to minimize anything because there's nothing to minimize or maximize, because all of this stuff, like, is talk. I mean, it is. Like, all of this stuff, it's talk. It's very serious talk, and it's talk that we should kind of look into, but it's talk. It's this.
Didn't they have a paper trail?
They had a paper trail, but a paper trail of what? They had a paper trail of accusations being made. And then,
no, I could have sworn I saw emails. There was stuff that was reviewed in addition to the statements.
But they have that stuff happening, and then they have it being like dealt with in a way that people didn't like. So it's like, hey, the guy lost his job, but only after this amount of time and only because of this. So what they're essentially saying is the people, there's a culture there, and the people aren't really listening to us. And even when they move, they're dragging their feet. There was one thing that said, like, they fired a bunch of people, and then the people made a big deal about it, and then Rashad came back and was like, I'm sorry, I had to let you go. So basically it's like, he's fake, he hangs out with celebrities, all they really care about is money and all of that. And all of that's fine. All of that's cool. I get it. There's a part of me, and I think people know this, there's a part of me that looks at this in a really specific way. And that's, I'm not saying that there are not issues at Color of Change. I'm not saying that there are not issues, very serious issues there. There are issues at Color of Change, I bet. There are issues at the NAACP. I know so many people at the NAACP that are frustrated with the leadership, that are frustrated for all different types of reasons. You'll listen to somebody talk that's been there for a while, and they'll say, hey, this is an ageist place where young voices aren't prioritized. This is a place where it's hard for women to rise up. And I'm not specifically, going to get into all of that. And you hear all of these things. To me, a lot of this stuff is framed in a way that is, this is a place that should be working, that says it's working for the betterment of Black people. And so they should be perfect. And that's the situation here. And that's the situation with Black Lives Matter. And I respect and I hear everything that you're saying. I'm sure I'll be excoriated for this, but I'm just letting people know, the longer we hold people to that standard, people and organizations to that standard, we are guaranteeing that they fail us. We're guaranteeing. And if it were me, because if this guy were white, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now. The only reason why we're having this conversation about what his motives are is because he's Black, which gives
Whose
him
motives? Rashad?
Oh no, not Rashad. About Sean. About what his motives are, which you think that I'm being unfair, and maybe I am. Maybe I'm too protective over when Black people are trying to do good, right? But and that is the thing, because in trying to do good, you look at places like the church, you look at places like different religious sects and organizations, and they need to be purged of the inefficiency and the horrible things that are going on inside of them. I get that. But if he were white and he had gone after Black Lives Matter and basically completely depowered Patrice, whatever you think about her after her being an organizer and somebody for X amount of years, she now has no name in it. He's destroyed her, right? And then moves on to the next organization. There'll be a third. And by the time that we jump up and go, hey, what's the deal here? The conversation will have gotten away from us and we'll be left just like we were left after other times in American history with nobody left to do the work. And that I don't know. I can't from a historical context, watching the way the media treated every single person who has ever in life tried to do anything for Black people. I'm skeptical. And I don't mean to minimize it. I'm really sorry if I am. I like after watching how every single person has been portrayed in the media that's ever tried to do anything for Black people.
Every single person.
Every one. Not a one. You might be able to, after they're long gone, you might be able to find all of these glowing things that were written about them. But that whole time, the American media system was trying to depower them, was trying to talk about just what a bad person they were, what they were doing in their personal life, the whole nine.
So I think I'm not going to say every person, because I just don't believe every Black person who tries to do something good has been vilified or taken down or whatever the word you said in the media. But here's the thing. If that's the school of thought that I subscribe to, does that mean that then we can't call out any wrongdoing for fear of this is how the media portrays Black people who are trying to do something good for Black people? Because here's the thing. I will agree with you on certain points. I will agree that in general, people have a problem with separating the corrupt individual from the work that the organization does. They can't just say this person did something stupid or ignorant or incompetent or wrong or whatever, or illegal or whatever it may be, but that doesn't take away all the good as a whole that this organization has done. People need to learn to separate the two. I will agree with you with Rashad Robinson. And before I clicked and read the article, it did make it look like Rashad Robinson was the one who was doing all these things. And I was shocked when I read the article where I was like, okay, yes, being the face and the head of an organization, you're responsible, but not in the way that they're making this article seem. That was very misleading. So I will agree with you on that. But I'm not going to sit here and not act like when I read this article and I saw that there were multiple accusations from senior level position people about harassment and sexual comments and bullying, and just looped all that into, oh, well, then there were also comments about how he spends his money and how he likes to be on red carpets. There's obviously a corrupt individual within this organization. And I am looking at the behavior of this individual, this continuous behavior where women were continuously for years complaining about them and him and nothing was being done. There seems to be that type of toxic culture. And it seems like the HR company was not listening to these women as they were complaining about it. I don't think that because for fear of how the public may vilify a Black person of this organization, that we can't call out problematic behavior, or we get mad at Sean Campbell for exposing that this organization has a problematic person within it or a problematic culture. I get the fear.
First of all, you say for years, the majority of the people that, how long do we say color change has been around since like 2005? The majority of the people that...
You said 2005. Yeah, I don't know.
The majority of the people that were in this had, like, if you read the article, the majority of the people that were in this, it says clearly they started working at Color Change around 2020. So and I'm not saying that there hasn't been dysfunction and stuff that's gone on, but what I'm saying is that when I look at the totality of the article, what I see, it makes two different assertions to me. One is that Color of Change in and of itself had people inside the organization that were being sexually bad, harassing people, right? And that they don't feel like the organization acted with the right amount of vigor in rooting that out. All right. Then I read on the back of it and it says the things were investigated. The person was let go, but only after this way. And they didn't like the way the person was let go. Okay, cool.
And you realize there were multiple. It's not one person.
Yeah, I understand. So of the multiple people that were there, how many of them like are still employed with color of change?
No, I have no idea. But I mean that there are multiple. It's not, we keep saying like there's one executive that was harassing and bullying, but there was another one that was investigated for sexual assault allegations. And it was reported in 2020. How long? We don't know how long it had been going on.
But what I'm saying is like some of the people that that have been working there, some of the stuff that we're talking about, like these were employees that hadn't been there for like a super long amount of time. And a lot of the people that were let go from Color of Change that feel like that they were fired in retaliation for some of this stuff were people that had
union,
for the unionization stuff. They hadn't been there for like a super long time. And they say, hey, it's because of the economy. It could very well be because of the culture. All of the stuff, like all of the stuff that's going on there, I'm sure they need to clean house and do some stuff. What I'm saying is the way that this is depicted, it's actually said inside of the article by one of the people that was at Color of Change, right? It's said in the article, it says, this is an organization that says that it's devoted to protecting Black women and protecting Black people, and it can't even do it in its own fucking office and space. I get that, and I understand that sentiment. I really do, because this entire article is written from the slant of one guy got super famous and a bunch of people are getting rich, and inside people are hoarding all of the money, because that's specifically said. It specifically said that you have people at Color of Change that are making $2 million, and then it's compared to a different organization where the people aren't making nearabouts that much money. That just doesn't fucking have anything to do with it. What they're trying to do is the way that is written in a way to make you see like, hey, these people are grifters. They're treating people bad because they don't really care about Black people. And what they really want to do is make a bunch of money. They've raised $20 million since this time. Once again, something that's immaterial to the workplace culture that goes on inside of Color of Change, unless the article would be specifically about the money that people are making there, right? So the framework of the entire thing is this place is shady. This place
it's about the whole article is about a problematic culture at this organization.
Right.
And that includes the money. I get why it was, I understand why it was referenced. I understand what they're saying as a whole. There are a lot of problems within this culture. And one of the things people have a problem with is that there was $2 million. Not one person received it, but it was spread over like the top people. And this person makes, and just to give you a comparison, the president of the NAACP makes this, and this guy is making, twice as much as that or whatever. I got it in the sense of, even though I get like the fedora red carpet, it's like, okay, like it's a stretch. I'm not arguing with you. I do think the article was supposed to be about that this company has a problem, and there seems to be some shady things, from sexual harassment claims to the way the money is being dispersed to the unionization of the employees, all of it. That's how I took it.
Right. Okay. Look, this is my thing. There's just there's enough history here for me to look at this in real time and just be like,
Would you feel different if a different person wrote this article? If Ben Johnson wrote this article, would you feel different? Would it change your whole perspective of this information coming out?
So a part of this is that we had the guy on here and I spoke with him. And it's just how I feel. By the way, I don't know.
So yeah, I think it's
I don't know.
it's
I
to
don't.
him
I don't.
too.
I don't know nobody over there like talking about. I know. How about this? Let me put you like this. I know everybody everywhere, but I know some people better than others. Like me and Patrice Cullors have never met. Me and Rashad Robinson have never met. I had to go through other people to get to Color of Change. I have not made any money with Color of Change or been involved. I've done a couple of panels with them. I've done a couple of panels with everyone. I've done a couple of panels with them, with Black Milias for Flint. I've done a couple of panels with Black Lives Matter. I've done a couple of panels with everyone. Everybody Black, I've worked with them. The Dream Defenders, everyone, right? And so it has nothing to do with this. It just has to do with the fact that, all right, like, okay. All right, this is nobody is going to be good enough, especially when you put a bunch of people together to kind of get some of these get some of these problems solved. And it's going to be wash, repeat every single time. But look, could be being a little bit emotional about it. I do get it, but I think he's an agent. I really do.
Well, at least you're being self-aware.
I think he's the same type of person that has always been put in places like this to destabilize these types of movements. I really do. Like that article isn't written at the griot. That article isn't written at the root. That article isn't written for Black people. That article, these places are these are.
Of course, it's not written for Black people.
These places. This stuff is going out in places to where the general consensus on Color of Change or Black Lives Matter can be that they're frauds. Last thing I'll say about this. When Kanye West was going through his entire thing, all I heard from him was that Black Lives Matter and everything about it was a fraud because of how somebody bought a house and hired their cousin and all of that stuff. And that's just a minimizing and a reduction of what Black Lives Matter did, what people did and what they were trying to do that I don't think is fair. But
I agree. You have to separate the individual from the organization and don't let that downfall of that person take the whole organization down with it. But listen, anytime something, but like the wrongdoing, this is the last thing I'll say. Don't get mad at the person writing the article or don't automatically believe that it can't be true. Like, be mad at the people who are fucking up shit.
I didn't say that.
They're the reason as to why people like Kanye West start generalizing and making those type of disparaging comments. I just think, well, whatever. You got it. You were self-aware. You see what you're doing.
Look, I'll be honest with you. I'll be honest with you. And like, look, I'll just keep it all the way real. A lot of the criticism for these different places that you hear, it comes from other activists. But once it gets into the culture and Twitter sphere, it comes from a bunch of people who aren't really doing anything to try to move Black people forward other than complaining about white people. And for people that are in spaces like Black Lives Matter, like Color of Change, it's mad people that after we did this and put Hawk on, that have all kinds of opinions about Hawk. Y'all niggas gon' purity yourselves right back to the motherfucking field. And y'all are going to literally, ain't nobody, I'm not saying that there are not issues going on there. I'm saying that the issues that are going on there are probably typical issues of any type of company that has fucked up men and greedy people working in it. But what the article made sure that it did was it framed what Color of Change is around what they say that they are. And it made it seem like they're a bunch of fraudsters. And it, it's the devil's work. I'm sorry. All right. More devils. Marjorie Taylor Greene. We got more N-word discourse. There's nothing I like more than discourse over the N-word. I like it. I like Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Okay.
To me, it's funny to me. Like Marjorie Taylor
It's
Greene.
more funny than anything. I'll give you that.
Marjorie Taylor Greene is so fucked up. Is so fucked up. Let's play it. She got into it with my brother, Jamal Bowman. She got into it with them on the steps of the U.S. Capitol on Wednesday. Here's the audio from that interaction.
Expel him. We gotta save the party. The party's hanging by a thread.
We gotta get rid of Biden.
The party's hanging by a thread. You gotta save the party. Listen, no more QAnon. No more that.
No more CNN.
No more debt ceiling nonsense. Come on now. Save the party.
No, we gotta
save America.
country.
Save the children.
Save the
Do
country.
something about guns.
Right, so close
Come
the
on.
border.
Invest in
Close the
education.
border. Save the
The
children.
border
What
is
about
what
the
Trump
children?
left.
Hey,
What
where
are
are
you
all the
talking
kids?
about?
Where are all the migrant
What
children?
kids?
You guys have
We're
lost
accepting
them.
them. We love
no,
them.
You've lost
We
them.
love the
There's
migrant
tens
children.
Of
What
thousands
do you mean lost
missing.
them?
You can't find them.
What are you
That's
talking
your
about?
administration.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, migrant children are missing. You don't know the news.
No, we don't know.
Okay, so she
I'm
was
mad
called.
he was even interacting with her.
That's what he does, man. He takes people. He takes them on. He takes them on. She did not like being called a white supremacist, and so she equated it to another word that no one should be called. No black person should be called. This is Marjorie dropping knowledge on y'all motherfucking phrases.
It's all on video. Everyone can see this. But I will tell you what's on video is Jamal Bowman shouting at the top of his lungs, cursing, calling me a calling me a white supremacist, which I take great offense to. That is like calling a person of color the N-word, which should never happen. Calling me a white supremacist is equal to that, and that is wrong. Jamal Bowman was down there cursing at me, telling me to get the F out of there, and he was leading the mob right outside the vehicle I was sitting in. We have this all on video. And then on the Capitol steps yesterday, he was the one that approached me. Even CNN reported that. Yelling, shouting, raising his voice. He has aggressive, his physical mannerisms are aggressive. And he just recently shoved Thomas Massey just outside the House chamber. I think there's a lot of concern about Jamal Bowman. So, and I am concerned about it. I feel threatened by him.
She feels threatened by him.
Just all the trigger words. All the trigger words.
I talked to Jamal earlier. I was trying to get him on here. He'll come visit with us next week, he says, to talk about it. I wanted to know if you felt threatened around him. If you felt threatened, like with Jamal.
I've never been around him. I'll reserve my thoughts when he comes on the podcast. I'll let you know if I feel threatened.
It'll be important. Look, you know what? She should have just called him a nigger. I mean, she talked about the N-word, right? And then she described.
Are you shocked? Are you shocked that she didn't do that?
She should have just done it. I don't understand.
She didn't just say, well, if I'm a white supremacist,
then you're a
nigger.
That's what she should have done. Because she talked about white supremacy being the N-word, and then she described a nigger. And that's what gets me about the Marjorie Taylor Greenes of the world. The dog whistles are of such a perfect frequency. Like, she said N-word and then said, but let me tell you what actually is.
Let me paint a picture.
An N-word. A big, threatening, black, brute behemoth that almost knocked me off the Capitol steps with his 13-inch dick. I almost fell over. I couldn't believe it. Yeah. Is white supremacist the same as N-word to you?
Oh, no, it's not. I mean, just on its face, being a white supremacist, that's something that you choose to be, right? Like, that's based on your beliefs. Whereas when somebody calls you an N-word, so if I'm calling you a white supremacist, it's because you are doing things that further white supremacy, your beliefs. And if you're calling somebody the N-word, you're calling them that because of the color of their skin, because of how they were born, because of their being black, not because of their beliefs. So just on its face, no.
Yeah. You know what? And here's another thing. White supremacist hasn't been a slur long enough. it's just like from a historical standpoint, the N-word been rocking since what, the 1600s? Like white supremacy just hasn't, you know, it's like the white supremacists as a slur is like Americans in soccer. It just hasn't been used at a high level long enough to really be good.
Well,
you might be able to like make the World Cup, but you can't really do nothing. White supremacists as like something that we could throw around. Cause like it is something very charged to call someone. But it's almost always true, which is another difference. It is something charged to call someone, but it doesn't have any real history or any real power as a slur. The N-word, you got to wake up early in the morning, man. You got to wake up early in the morning to beat the N-word. Marjorie Taylor Greene, she was both so stupid in this, but also deadly, deadly, deadly effective. I would not be surprised if you don't see a different sort of reaction to Jamal Bowman moving forward with what he likes to do on the steps of the Capitol and the halls of the Capitol, because I think she's kind of put out the babe in the woods situation and they might like treat him a little differently.
Also, the term white supremacy. We just had Biden call it out. And here we are less than a week later, and Marjorie Taylor is making this outlandish comment. We're going to keep seeing politicians challenge white supremacy. I think this is going to be on the ballot. And I think that they're going to try to mess up the meaning of the word like they did woke. I think they are on a mission with the term white supremacy. I'm telling you, that's what I think. Yes, the Jamal Bowman thing as well, but they're trying to figure out how to attack this word and how to make it not what it is.
So look, that's a really good point. And I just want one message to the black people out there that listen. Just don't help them. I'll be honest. Every single taking back of a word that white people have done, black people have been overly complicit in them taking the word back. Every single time it happens, black people have had a gigantic hand in it. All right? Bunch of rappers out there. Gotta call out my brothers in hip hop. Hey, if you buy my record, you can say the N-word all you want. All right, nigga.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Like, all right, cool. It's getting these people. It's getting a little whatever. Okay, cool. You know, woke. Now you have a large portion of black people who are out in some way to separate themselves from what they feel like woke ideology is, because woke ideology to some brothers and sisters means accepting parts of society that maybe they aren't prepared to accept, right? If woke is about black people advancing and moving forward, then that's okay. But if woke is about gay and trans people moving forward, that might be a little bit more sketchy and iffy for some people. So they took woke back. Hey, fake news. Most of the times I hear somebody saying fake news, they black. All of these things are things that came. All of these, whenever I hear somebody say that's fake news, black. Trump made that shit up. You know what I mean? Make blank blank great again. Let's just see the hats. Shout out to the brothers around here, and I still, the hat was still kind of fire, but it's like make Crenshaw great again, and it was like a red hat. I seen make South Baton Rouge great again. It's like, don't pick up they shit that spreads their shit. All right. And if white supremacy gets taken over and it's something that you fucking can't say on cable news, it'll be because somebody goes, we really got to stop labeling everybody we disagree with as white supremacists. So what? They want to take all the black history out of schools. That's not white supremacists. You know what I'm saying? Somebody gonna say that.
We've seen
and
it.
Niggas gonna be like, oh.
Terry Crews.
Perfect.
Is that his name?
That's his name.
Is that his name?
See?
Okay.
See? You defend Sean Campbell.
Remember, he was like, there's black. He was like, black supremacy. Somebody's going to quote him. Somebody's going to use him.
Or they could either do that or they could make black supremacy a thing.
That's wait for it. Wait for it.
Chris Lick from CNN. He's admitting that there were some problems with the Donald Trump town hall.
Oh.
He is. He's acknowledged internally that there are some things he wished the network would have done differently. This is after CNN has been getting kicked in the dick and balls ever since the...
Not by you.
Not by me. It getting kicked in the dick and balls ever since the Donald Trump town hall came out. It's one thing to get kicked in the balls. That hurts. But sometimes it gets like a piece of the dick and then that can bruise. So CNN didn't just get the balls. You got the dick and the balls. And we should say it didn't really work for CNN. It was a ratings bonanza, but they haven't really been able to like carry the ratings on till after.
Of course not.
You know?
What did they expect? And I expect Chris to double down and triple down. You have to stand by this. You have to be 10 toes down because this is, you know what I mean? Like, can you imagine if he comes out and he's like, actually, we made a mistake. We shouldn't have done that. We shouldn't have had a Trump friendly audience. We should have cut him off the moment he started spewing lies. No.
Yeah.
Chris gonna have a part 2.
Chris said that focusing the camera only on Collins when she tried to fight off Trump's lies about election fraud was probably not great. They should have used a wide shot on both Trump and Collins. That way CNN could draw the audience's focus to the substance of the question rather than the spectacle of Trump. So it was a little bit too spectacular. He also says that he wished the town hall that the anchors had focused on the news that Trump made, such as his claim that he would settle Russia's war with Ukraine within 24 hours, or his refusal to weigh in on a federal ban about abortion, which seems a little naive from Chris, if I'm being honest, because the substance of Trump is never what people focus on. That's by design. It's always the antics of Trump. So I don't know what, you know, the vagina thing was going to be what people focused on, and he was sitting right there after. Don't laugh, Rachel. He was don't laugh, Rachel. Rachel, don't laugh. Don't laugh. You're laughing.
I'm not.
Like,
I'm not.
Yeah. So it seems like CNN might be walking it back just a little bit. Are you surprised?
Nah, they're not walking it back.
So?
They're not walking it back at all. Oh, we should have done a 2-shot instead of a 1-shot. What was the other one? We should have openly questioned the crowd before the town hall began so the audience could better understand who they were and why they were supporting Trump. What would that have done for you? The fact that they were supporting Trump is all we knew. They were clapping when he was making disparaging remarks about the woman or about the lawsuit that just was against him for the alleged rape. Alleged rape. So what would listening to the audience and hearing why they were there for Trump help? If anything, that would have incited the Trump audience. They would have been more riled up. Yeah, more reason. They would have given all the reasons why they were into Trump. Why did we need that? This is just stop. The best thing that Chris can do is to stop talking about it. We got to move on.
So, okay.
We got to move on.
I'll say a couple things. One thing I'll say is about CNN. I think you're going to see, and I think you kind of have been seeing, a more conservative shift from CNN. And I think that's a good thing. I do. The reason why I think...
Well, I mean, you work there now.
I work at CNN. How do I work at CNN? Oh, shut up, nigga. I think that's a good thing. And the reason why I think it's a good thing is for 2 reasons. Number one, I think it's time for people to find different sources. So if people there are really amazing sources of news.
I think they already are.
That are out there. I think it's time for people to find different sources. So if you are watching CNN and CNN takes the rightward shift that they seem to be taking away from, the era of Don Lemon and Chris Cuomo kicking the shit out of Trump every single night, seems to be gone. And it seems to be because even Collins herself, even though she has these issues with Trump, she isn't what I would call like a left-leaning media personality or whatever. Her past is a little bit more conservative.
Her past is conservative,
right?
Definitely.
And I personally think she's going to be their person in the primetime spot moving forward. And so because of that, I think that CNN is going to try to be a place that courts a little bit more of the right-leaning political thinker because they think that there's market share to be gained. Now that Fox has taken a chunk, had a chunk taken out of their ass a little bit. And there's something else. Another thing is Fox is consistently watched by more people than CNN.
Yes.
And I want people to feel something here. I want people to feel something. There's something to be felt here.
Okay.
We were talking about Buzz Lightyear. The movie came out and then the movie flopped when it came out. It wasn't good. Right?
Okay.
And part of the narrative behind the movie that weaponized people against the film was that there was a same-sex kiss in the movie, the Lightyear movie that came out. It's a same-sex kiss.
Oh, yeah, we did talk about it.
We talked about it. What did I say? I said, hey, Disney is not going to do anything in a movie because it's the right thing to do. This is a corporation. Corporations don't have no soul, no wrong or right, just money. If you want to see more representation, you should have gone your ass out to see Lightyear. And as stupid as that sounds, that's the reality. The reason why I sometimes buy tickets to black movies that I don't see is because if I want them to make more black movies, or maybe even my black movies, then the movies have to be successful. So my thing is, if you guys loved CNN so much the way it was, why is Fox kicking their ass? If you guys love CNN so much the way it was before, why are they getting their ass bust? Like why? Like where you have a lot of fun and all of that stuff going on and blah 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 blah. You don't like.
Well, could it be the change in the people that are on CNN?
Fox consistently busts CNN ass since you know what I'm saying?
True. I mean, I'm just saying it's getting worse, I guess.
Right. Now, I will say this. I will say that doesn't, in a perfect world, in the world that I would like to have, that shouldn't have any effect on the journalism that a place does. It shouldn't, right? But on the personalities that it courts, it always will. Because remember, some of these shows are journalism shows, and some of these shows are just First Take with politics. Like, you don't go to First Take on ESPN to learn anything about the game.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? You want to see who's going to win the argument. And like in terms of the report,
you want a hot
take. So in terms of the reporting of the news, there should be journalistic ideals and integrity that govern that. But as far as the slant of the network,
could there also be an argument made that the people who watch Fox News, the conservative voice is an older voice, a voice that, or audience, I should say, the conservative audience is an older audience that sits at home and watches their TV, as opposed to the other side, the more liberal, they're young. They don't necessarily consume news the same way. Like, I'm not sitting at home watching CNN. I get my news either in articles, social media, like, you know what I mean? So could there be an argument for that? Like, CNN is going to have to almost...
Point.
Thanks.
It's a fantastic point. But one that in the end of the day doesn't matter. You're absolutely right, Rachel. You're absolutely right. People come home, they race home, and they're like, hey, God damn it, get this motherfucking Bud Light out of my goddamn refrigerating Marjorie. I need a motherfucking Pabst Blue Ribbon so I can watch my Tucker Carlson. You know what I mean? And us, we be out there, nigga, oh shit, whatever. We're not watching. We only watch Don Lemon if something crazy happens. But no, you're right. But they need that viewer. So either niggas got put on for left leaning, which I wouldn't call CNN necessarily left leaning. It's another fucking capitalist institution that represents really the Wall Street brand of Democrats that aren't really much about shit anyway. But whatever. Last thing I'll say about the Trump thing. You know what I realized about the Trump thing is there's a reason why I like when Trump is on TV. I like when Trump is on TV.
Why?
Because I don't trust y'all.
Why?
I don't trust y'all.
You don't trust who?
Y'all. The y'all that is mad that I'm like, put them on. I don't trust them. And this is the bad part. I am Trump. I'm like Trump.
Okay.
I'm very Trump-like. So there's only two reasons that two reasons that Trump does what he does. Either Trump does what he does because he's a psychopath, which is true. And the other reason why is because he knows that he doesn't really have very much to say. And so he has to use fear. Right? And fear of this always gets people to do something. That's because he doesn't think much of his electorate, much of his constituency. He doesn't think that if he really broke down and spoke to their needs, that would work. And he probably doesn't have the intellectual acumen to really do that anyway. And he's probably not someone who could make the case that what he's doing is great for America in any real way anyway. So it's always going to be about who his enemies are and all of that stuff. I'm kind of the same. Like, I just don't see people working hard enough. Like, I don't see people doing the required reading to contextualize where the country is right now, where the country has been. Like, I talk to people, and I'm not saying that I'm the smartest guy in the world, but I'm saying that I try. That I try every single day to understand what's happening, to be up on things and get it, and to know why and what I'm voting for and how I need to do it. And I get it wrong all the time, but I'm making an effort. And the only thing that seems to work on other people is fear. And so when I see Trump and I see people getting mad, I'm like, that's good. It's good that they're mad because the boogeyman will make them pray to God. They won't pray just because they think the pages of the Bible are beautiful or because they feel God in the world somewhere. They'll pray because Satan's in front of them. Or they'll give themselves to God because they see Satan's in front of them. You know what I mean? And so to me, when I see Trump and I see all of you guys up in arms and really upset, I'm like, great. That'll get them out there. Because if we start having conversations about other things that are going on in America and about how these things are happening, I just see people who give a way more of a fuck about Love is Blind. And I'm not, it's not even in a bad way. I watch all kinds of MCU movies and stuff, but like, I try to understand what's happening. So like when I see Trump and I see everybody mad, I'm like, good, that's what we need.
But you're not like Trump because you don't lie to people. Because Trump, people, you do.
Nigga tell a couple of lies,
y'all
baby.
should see his face right now.
Tell a couple of lies, baby. No, I'm just joking.
We heard your whole take about color change.
Oh, well, look, that's not a lie. I don't know them like that. I'm just, look, bro. If you come at the black organization, I just go, what you on, nigga? Nah, whatever. Maybe we need to look into it deeper.
Poor Sean.
We had Sean on here. I thought it was good. I don't fuck with Sean. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Sean didn't.
I don't fuck with Sean. I will say one thing that I want to make sure that this is clear. So we know the two incidences that are outlined in the article, just so people know, because I think sometimes when I was talking, I might have conflated two different things, like Rachel said. One is the senior campaign team manager who was investigated in 2022 that he sexually assaulted an employee. He was cleared of wrongdoing by the Human Resources Department. He was removed from the organization a short time later. That is the all hands kind of thing that we were. Rashad came on all hands and did all of that. That's in 2022. The 2020 issue is a different issue, like Rachel said, and it was around someone who was accused of bullying, harassment, and gender discrimination in 2020. That person quietly left the organization after being cleared by a Human Resources investigation. And then the woman who first reported him was terminated. So those are two different situations right there. One guy is in, one guy was in senior leadership. It doesn't say if these people were men. They would have to be, though, right? They would have to be.
I don't know. There was something that I read that I thought one was a woman, but I don't want to say that wrong because I was like, wait.
It doesn't specifically say.
Don't specify it.
Yeah, it doesn't
don't
specifically say that that these people were men. So those are two different issues. And you guys can read the article for yourself and come fuck over me later. All right. Let's go mailbag. Real quick.
No, wait. No, I want to do something. It was in the rundown. I don't want to get into it, but you saw the news that allegedly Ron DeSantis is about to enter into the 2024 presidential race. He's gearing all up for it, apparently rented out a hotel space. I know we're not looking forward to that. I know it's going to be a battle, but I am looking forward to the battle between Trump and DeSantis for this reason alone. Donnie, hit it.
DeSantis has his dirty fingers all over senior entitlements, like cutting Medicare, slashing Social Security, even raising our retirement age. Tell Ron DeSantis to keep his pudding fingers off our money. Oh, and somebody get this man a spoon.
Rachel, I'm telling you, you like Trump, man. Rachel, hold on.
Have you seen this?
I've seen it. It is funny. Rachel, Trump, see? Rachel,
Wait, guys, if you have not seen this, allegedly there's this rumor that Ron DeSantis was eating pudding, which is troublesome enough, which is bad enough. He couldn't find a spoon, so he decided to eat the chocolate pudding with his fingers. So a Trump PAC decided to make a video about DeSantis' dirty fingers in everything. And you have to watch the video because it's two fingers constantly digging into chocolate pudding. And it ends with empty little pudding things. It was like, no spoon. I think it's the funniest thing
disgusting.
Ever. And I want to see more of this. I want to see this. This is what I can't wait for.
Do you think DeSantis
I mean, there's a lot of other problematic stuff, but this is funny.
Do you think that DeSantis has what it takes to go toe-to-toe with Trump?
Absolutely not. I don't think he can get as dirty as Trump is. Like, I think DeSantis, which is the dangerous thing, his response is to continue to do more outrageous stuff. Because as I've said before on this podcast, he's such a big shot in Florida, except for the Disney thing is really coming back to bite him. But he's such a big shot in Florida that he's drinking his own Kool-Aid. And I don't think that it's going to have the same impact on the rest of the country. And his way to outbeat Trump is if I keep doing all this outrageous stuff to play into this base. I don't think it's going to work. Trump's just going to get down and dirty.
So Disney.
The pudding fingers is the best thing I've seen.
Yeah, we should say that real quick. Disney is trying to put the mouse dick to Florida. They pulled the plug on a $1 billion office complex. Would have been about 2,000 jobs to the region. 1,000 employees expect to be relocated from Southern California. They were going to move from Southern California down there, but now they're not because of pudding fingers. Mr. Pudding Fingers. By the way, you said 2 fingers? I think he was getting 3 fingers up in that thing. But I think he was getting 3 fingers up in that thing. You freaking motherfucker, Ron. Ronnie D putting 3 fingers in that thing. How you know that pudding can handle that, Ronnie? How do you know that pudding can handle that? You got to get that pudding ready. You can't just put them fingers in there dry like that. You lick them or something, Ronnie. You sexy motherfucker, putting your fingers all in that chocolate. You, Ronnie, what you doing?
Just get ready for a year of Trump calling him pudding fingers. And I can't wait.
See, that's how we get fucked over, though. Oh, you know what? So fine, we will do one more because I want to know what you think about this. I really do. So Matt Healy, do you know who that is?
We talked about 1975 because I was not familiar with them at all. Prior to this, you were saying how you're a fan of 1975. And I was like, Rachel, I've never heard of them.
Thank you for reminding the people that I'm a fan of 1975. That really is going to help me.
You may not be anymore.
That really going to help me with this next thing. By the way, you guys, fuck it. I'm a piece of shit.
But you educated me on who they were. I did not know is more of my point. But so yes, now thanks to you, I am familiar with Matt Healy.
So I love the 1975. I've always liked them. I was listening to them in FIFA when FIFA came out and the city was on there. And I'm like, yo, I like the way they sound. And so I've been listening to them for a while. Matt Healy, the lead singer, is an odd bird. Odd for many different reasons.
Oh, that's one way to describe him.
So look, he is apparently Taylor Swift's boyfriend as well. I don't know that that's the case, but they're rumored to be in a relationship together. People are mad at Taylor because he said a lot of fucking weird ass shit on a podcast. I want to talk about one specific part of it. He talked about Ice Spice.
Okay.
And he and in talking about Ice Spice, and there are other things that Matt Healy did. Like, he was rumored to have thrown up a Nazi salute. It looks like he throws up a Nazi salute while saying Kanye's name at a show one time. I think that it was said about that what he was trying to do, because he had Kanye's name in that song, he was trying to criticize Kanye. And throwing up the Nazi salute was him saying Kanye's a Nazi now. I don't know. They could.
Why don't you throw up the middle finger or something? There's so many other symbols. Like if you that's not
it's
it.
The type of shit white people do. This type of people white people do. Hey, I threw up the Nazi salute because I'm with you guys. That's basically what he's saying. So I did the salute because I'm with y'all. You don't get it.
It's a dog whistle.
But in this podcast, it's called the Adam Friedland Show. He talked about Ice Spice's ethnicity, talked about how attractive he thinks Ice Spice is. But then he goes on to talk about him liking a site called Ghetto Gaggers.
Had you heard of this before?
Of course.
I had not.
Nigga, I know you haven't heard of it. You're not in the life. Okay? Like,
at least you admit
know what I'm
it.
saying? Like,
hi, I'm Van Lathan.
You're not, of course.
Hi, Van.
I will say this. I am not a fan of the Ghetto Gagger site. Okay? Not at all. What Ghetto Gaggers is you guys have ever seen Ghetto Gaggers. It's Ghetto Gaggers. It'll be 4 or 5 white guys, and there'll be black talent that comes in, and they essentially destroy the lady, whoever she is. It's normally a multiple guy gangbang. Sometimes in the back, there'll be like a Confederate flag. You know what I mean?
Damn.
You guys, there was a site back in the day called springthomas.com. And it was a little white girl. Her name was Spring Thomas. And at first it started off as, hey, black guys destroying this little white girl. Then it graduated to fuck me, nigga, fuck me. And that,
oh my God.
Porn, there's a specific part of porn that race play and race sort of degrading is like a big part of it. Like a big part of it. Like people who want to see white women degraded, destroyed, 4 or 5 black guys destroying the shit out of a white girl. And then there's another part of it where it'll be 4 or 5 black guys, 4 or 5 white guys destroying the shit out of an Asian lady. And they'll call it, like, I don't know, I'm not going to make up a name or something stupid. This is a part of porn because it's playing to people's entire... And then the Ghetto Gaggers thing is, you know, you'd see those sites. Sometimes if you be on a message board or something, you'd say, like, God damn.
Oh my God, a message board?
Man,
Jesus, Van.
In the life, baby. I'm not going to be, I was in the life. I'm not in the life anymore.
I know. I'm glad you've been saved.
Yeah. And so what I'm saying about this is as soon as he said this, I knew which site that, as soon as I read it, because they didn't say Ghetto Gaggers, I knew which site it was talking about. Play the audio, the Ghetto Gaggers audio, and then we can have a little bit of a broader conversation on it.
She was like, I forgot my water bottle in there. So she went back in, and Maddie, like on his phone and then on his like 77-inch OLED, just got Ghetto Gaggers blaring 30 seconds after the hang. Just going, just hardcore pornography.
I heard that story, and the only part that bothered me was airplane.
Well, that's what you text me immediately, being like, I just need the info on this story. Like, why on earth? Like, how psychopathic do you have to be to like airplay porn to your like
I
TV.
remember when porn on the phone became a thing, and everybody's like, "Oh, this is weird," and it's like, no, that's what I always wanted to be. I want to be hunched over.
Yeah, yeah.
Get the phone jammed in my face.
Yeah.
You know, jacking off on my own face.
Uh-huh.
All right, cut it off. Okay. I'm not that much in the life. There's some limits. There's some things there that I haven't gotten to. Okay, ghetto gaggers. Matt Healy likes ghetto gaggers. This is kind of in the same vein of the David Cho situation, although David Cho alleged that he actually hurt a black woman.
Right.
So that makes that situation something much more serious and it needs to be dealt with. Question to you. Does it bother you if a white dude's kink is watching a black woman sexually humiliated and like having rough sex with a bunch of white guys with a racial component? Because there's a racial component to ghetto gaggers.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Well, no, absolutely. Because the way it's described is it's about humiliating and sexually dominating black women to the point of where physical violence coupled with jokes about poverty, welfare, slavery, putting women in nooses, etc. So you asked me if I'm bothered? Absolutely by it. Is this problematic? Absolutely. One, you have a desire to watch it, right? You want to see black women degraded. And then two, that gets you off. Not only do you like to see it, it arouses you to see black women degraded. I mean, where the fuck is Taylor Swift in all of this? I'm sorry. I am sorry for what Taylor stands for. And I know you're like, I'm sorry. You think Taylor shouldn't have to say anything?
I knew this.
Taylor has been photographed with this man. He has been at her shows. At the very least, they are friends. And now your alleged friend is, I'm sorry, a racist. You are aroused and you sexually get off to black women being degraded in a racist way. Nooses, slavery, welfare, and you laugh about it and you joke about it and then you say it in a public way, which means there's absolutely no shame for you. I would not want to be affiliated with this person. And for the things that, and I'm not a Swiftie, and for the things that Taylor, but I do know what Taylor talks about and what Taylor stands for. And I don't understand why you would want to be associated with a person who not on one occasion, multiple occasions, is affiliated with problematic, racist, anti-Semitic things. This is an issue. This man is disgusting. Beyond that, repulsive. And you're guilty by association in some. I'm not saying this is Taylor. I'm just saying, why would you not want to separate yourself from somebody like this? This is easy. Y'all apparently just started.
Okay. So they've known each other for a long time. So they
started the romantic part.
They've known each other for a long time. Okay, so here's my thing, and I'm going to be honest about this. There's a part of me that's desensitized to this type of stuff. I'm just going to be honest with you. And like I could never, I swear on the life of my father that I've never in life watched a ghetto gagger scene. I mean, obviously, that's not the type of thing that I'm going to be into, right?
Then what are you desensitized to? The porn or the content of the porn?
I'm desensitized to that existing in porn. Because I have...
And you don't even watch it.
Right. But what I'm saying is I have watched, like, white ladies. White ladies being humiliated. Like, I have. Not like I don't like to watch it, but that's porn. Like you have not really being humiliated. Let me make sure I'll say this right. Because not really being humiliated or degraded, for me, you know what? I actually haven't watched white ladies being humiliated, but it sometimes seems like they're being humiliated because the whole purpose of the scene is look at this big black guy and this white woman, boom. You know what I'm saying? So like a site like blacked.com, it's not really humiliation, but the whole thing is huge black dude, white lady. You know what I mean? So that's the whole purpose of it. But like anything that has to do with beating or spitting or choking or any of that stuff, like it immediately fucks with me because I'm like, that looks like it hurts. So I'm not into that. So that's not something that I'm into. But I do know that people are. And like people are into it in like a real way. There are other sites. There's a site called kink.com, a site that I can't really enjoy any of the content really on there because it's ball gags and electrocuting people and people with their eyes like they're about to cry.
All
and
right.
mascara's running.
Do you think it's a problem that you're desensitized?
I mean, I was in the life, okay?
But I'm just saying, I'm not, listen, I appreciate your honesty. I'm just saying, do you think it's a problem?
The shit is massively popular. I have absolutely no qualms about talking about who I am on the podcast.
Of course it is. Degrading black women, not popular?
Wait.
Of course.
Wait. Ghetto Gaggers is actually not that popular. When I'm talking about...
Oh, I thought you were saying that
the
site.
Ghetto Gaggers is actually not that popular because it's not a site...
And yet he knows
it's not a
about
site
it.
that gets the top tier talent to go on it because if you do a Ghetto Gagger scene, I'm just being for real. If you do a Ghetto Gagger scene, you're looked at in a certain way. So Ghetto Gaggers is actually not that popular. It's a site that's more of a niche site that has a strong fan base. But what I'm saying is porn where people are humiliated and degraded and treated in a certain way is popular. And it's not just popular in porn. All of that spit in my mouth, choke me, all of that stuff, there's a fine line between that stuff and like what it is that we're talking about now. And there's a racial component, but porn has that racial component. So what I'm wondering, and the only reason why I'm bringing this up is just as a thought exercise. What I'm wondering about is we're told not to kink shame people. Because remember, in this case, he's not saying that he's ever degraded or humiliated a black woman. We're told not to kink shame people. We're saying, hey, it's a kink, don't kink shame people. Is there a level to a kink to where you feel like it should be shamed?
This is shame.
Gotcha.
This is shame. It's very particular to, all the kinky stuff, I'm not even going to get into that, but this is very particular, a site dedicated to degrading black women. We talked multiple times about how black women are disrespected in this country. And I think my issue, and I want to bring it back to Taylor, I'm sorry. This is the issue that I have. No.
I'm with it. I'm listening to
Taylor
you.
stands for women power, girl power. She fights for LGBTQ plus rights. And I have an issue with white feminists sometimes because when it comes to standing up for black women and how they're treated and looked at in society, there seems to be this silence. And this is very particular what he's doing to degrade black women. And there hasn't been a peep out of you. And the reason that I put this in the higher learning chat is because not enough people are talking about it. And it's problematic. And I'm not saying I need an apology. I know that's what y'all probably think. I'm not saying I need an apology from Taylor. I'm not saying I need her to acknowledge it. I need her to acknowledge.
But before you said you wanted her to
condemn it.
You wanted her to,
condemn it.
Before you said you wanted her to break up with her boyfriend. I bet you.
Well, I don't understand why you would want to be with someone like this. I don't even understand.
I bet she knows what he's into.
Well, even worse. But I want her to condemn this type of degradation against black women. That's what I want her to do. I want her to condemn it.
Do you want to start a campaign to get ghetto gaggers off the internet? I'm serious. I'm asking you. By the way,
I'm fully just aware of it. Sure.
I should say this. By black porn fans. Like I said, I was on the message board for a while. The people that know the message board, they know the message board. Okay. For they have long criticized, attacked and gone at the site for a long time. It's been a hot button issue. A hot button issue to a hot button issue to the degree that if you actually are black female talent and you did one of those scenes, like they would criticize you and they would reflect on you poorly and they would be like, I can't believe she did this. She's a sellout because she did this and blah, blah, blah. The way that I know that there's a Confederate flag and that they do that is because they would post a still from the scene and go, look what she let them do to her, blah, 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 blah. So it's long been a site that was, when I was still in the life, that was criticized. Everything comes back. See, if I didn't know anything about, you judge, But if I didn't know anything about ghetto gaggers, I wouldn't have the wealth of knowledge that I have right now. It all comes back.
I'm not judging. I literally said I appreciate you for your honesty. But like, we got to talk about stuff like this.
Okay, so you saying that Taylor should A, condemn Matt Healy,
condemn
B,
it.
possibly break up with him?
I would disassociate myself. It's not a good look, but I guarantee you a lot of people don't know about it. A lot of people probably don't know.
All right. Okay.
I mean,
It's a tough show today. Me and Rachel been mixing it up. Okay?
I'm going to go to a Taylor concert with a poster
Of ghetto gaggers?
Matt Healy degrades Black women.
No, you should. This is the poster you should write. Taylor, don't gag on racism. Matt Healy. Okay, that's it. Take thinking caps off, but do not stop learning. I'm Van Lathan Jr.
And I am Rachel Lindsay.